from the aisles of a fluorescent lit superstore where your host is wrestling with the moral dilemma of buying yet another toaster he doesn't need. It's your host, Donovan.
Welcome back to Deep Dives in the Shallow End, the show where we don't just magnify the absurdities of modern life, we strap them down and waterboard them until they're admitting to things they've never even done. I'm your not-so-expert host, Donovan, here to unravel the tangled threads of consumer psychology with the tenacity of a bargain hunter at a clearance sale. We'll explore the labyrinth of impulse purchases, a complex web where retail gimmicks are carefully designed to bypass your better judgment and siphon your savings faster than a Girl Scout with a crate of Thin Mints and a Venmo account. From glossy displays to catchy slogans, and even those seductive seasonal aisles overflowing with holiday cheer and buyer's remorse. No stone or shopping cart will be left unturned in our pursuit of understanding why we fall for these cunning traps. Buckle up, it's about to get revealing and maybe a little unsettling.
Deep dives in the shallow end.
All right, let's dive into today's topic, the psychology of impulse purchasing. You know that moment when you walk into a store for a toothpaste and walk out with a scented candle, a yoga mat, and a jade egg? Well, that's not a coincidence. It's by design. Impulse purchasing is a multi-billion-dollar phenomenon. According to a 2023 study by Slick Deals, the average American spends about $276 a month on impulse buys. That's over $3,300 a year on items you probably didn't even know you wanted until a strategically placed sign whispered, "Take me home." Okay, that's more of a stage whisper, but if it has to, it will scream just to get your attention. Like my mom at the Poor Carl's Jr. employee who didn't make her fries extra crispy. How else will they learn, she asks. So what's going on in our minds when we make these snap decisions? For me, most of the time it's just a never-ending loop of Steamboat Willie whistling at the helm in black and white. But for most people with fully functioning brains, it all boils down to a cocktail of psychological triggers and cleverly crafted retail strategies. Let's break it down. First up, we have FOMO, or the fear of missing out. Marketers are experts at exploiting our primal fear of scarcity. Limited time offers and phrases like "only 2 left in stock" trigger a sense of urgency, making us feel like if we don't act now, we'll regret it forever. Flash to me, 30 years later, sitting in my storage unit at 3 a.m. surrounded by walls of Beanie Babies and Pogs, whispering reassurances to my Princess Diana bear that our time will come. I've got spreadsheets tracking their theoretical future value that would make a Wall Street analyst weep. This taps into our evolutionary wiring. Back in the day, missing out on resources meant starvation. Now it means I'm panic buying Supreme branded bricks to build a shrine to my poor financial decisions, washing them down with limited edition Mountain Dew flavors like Radioactive Sunrise and Diabetic Fever Dream. Next is hedonic adaptation. Buying something new gives us a little dopamine hit, a rush of pleasure that feels like a reward. Like when my wife gives me a treat for remembering to maintain eye contact during conversations. And don't you dare judge our behavioral modification kinks, you vanilla prudes. Retailers know this, and they structure their stores to maximize these micro rewards. From the soothing lighting in an Apple store that makes you feel like you're being gently abducted by minimalist aliens, to the treasure hunt excitement of finding deals at TJ Maxx where the racks seem to be curated by someone who exclusively sources from estate sales of retired carnival psychics and black market Appalachian trunk shows. And before you come at me, my mountain friends make the best sous vide possum this side of the Mason-Dixon. The meat just falls right off those little hands. Then there's decision fatigue. After spending hours navigating the labyrinth of oat milk options, unsweetened, vanilla, barista blend, gluten-free, and whatever transcendentally optimized means, our brains are left battered and bruised. By the time we reach the checkout, the thought of making one more decision feels like scaling Everest in off-brand Temu Crocs. So we grab that overpriced pack of chocolate-covered almonds, not because we want it, but because it's the easiest decision we've faced all day. We'll take any semblance of control we can get, which explains my carefully curated collection of self-flagellation instruments, from Forgot to Call Mom Cat of Nine Tails to Skip Mass Scourge. Sure, they're all different ways to turn my back into a Jackson Pollock of guilt, but at least I'm the docent of my own destruction. And then there's social proof. That digital chorus of validation that turns us all into Pavlovian puppets drooling at the sight of 5-star reviews. We're so desperate to be part of the herd that we'll trust the opinion of someone named Verified Buyer 937 as if they're the second coming of consumer Christ. Every glowing review acts like a little hit of dopamine, convincing us that yes, this $79 rose quartz face roller really is the reason Jennifer from accounting's skin glows like she bathes in virgin unicorn colostrum. And social media? It's like a cult where the leaders are all 23-year-olds with ring lights and authentic morning routines broadcasting from their beige-toned apartments that look like they were decorated by an AI trained exclusively on Pinterest boards titled Minimal Luxe Desert Vibes. They've got us so thoroughly brainwashed that we're not just afraid of missing out, we're convinced that not owning their recommended Bluetooth-enabled water bottle means we've failed the fundamental task of being human. There we are, 2 a.m., credit card in hand, buying our third jade gua sha tool because some stranger with a ring light told us our lymphatic system is basically committing treason against our face. Lastly, we can't ignore loss aversion, the psychological principle that says we fear losing something more than we enjoy gaining something of equal value. It's the same demented gremlin in our brain that has me still holding on to my ex's hoodie from 2007, even though it smells like heartbreak and has more holes than my retirement plan. That's why I'm still clutching onto expired coupons for Blockbuster like they're holy relics of a forgotten age. Retailers weaponize this primal fear by dangling short return policies, countdown clocks, and ominous warnings of limited stock over our heads like capitalist guillotines. Only one left, they scream, and suddenly I'm panic buying a third air fryer at 2 a.m. because my lizard brain is convinced that if I don't, I'll die alone and hungry with flaccid French fries. These tactics bypass rational thoughts faster than my dad bypassed all my childhood t-ball games, compelling us to act with all the impulse control of me finding unattended Costco samples. And here I am, surrounded by things I never needed, because apparently my self-worth is measured in limited edition Funko Pops and the crushing weight of buyer's remorse. And retailers aren't just sitting back hoping you'll buy something, they're actively engineering environments to ensure that you do. Here's some of their favorite tools that they employ to prey on the aforementioned psychological weaknesses that are within all of us. BOGO. Buy one, get one. It's the classic. Who needs 2 sets of ceramic garden gnomes? You do, apparently, because one was free. This trick makes you feel like you're getting a deal even if you're spending more overall. Then there's anchoring. Ever notice how expensive items are placed next to slightly less expensive ones? That $100 bottle of wine suddenly looks reasonable when it's sitting next to a $300 bottle of wine. This is anchoring, a psychological tactic that sets your expectations and then makes you feel like you're saving money. Then there's the Gruen transfer. This is when a carefully designed store layout disorients you just enough to make you wander aimlessly, throwing random items into your cart. Think IKEA, where you enter for a Lauper lamp and then leave with an entire Gunter Glauben living room set. Eye-level marketing. Products at eye level sell better, which is why Captain Crunch is staring directly into your child's soul at 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning. They've positioned that sugar-coated cardboard exactly where little Timmy can see it and initiate a Category 5 tantrum that ends with you buying 3 boxes and questioning your parenting skills over a strong breakfast martini. Decoy pricing. You're looking at 2 subscription plans, one for $10 and one for $25. Then they throw in a third option, $24 with fewer features. Suddenly, $25 seems like a steal. This is decoy pricing, designed to nudge you towards the most profitable choice. Then there's checkout traps. Those candy bars, magazines, and mini hand sanitizers by the registers, they aren't there by accident. They're impulse buy bait. They're meant to snag you while you're waiting and bored. Sensory manipulation stores often use scents, music, and lighting to create a mood that encourages spending. Ever wonder why Abercrombie & Fitch smells like a cologne explosion? That's not an accident. Studies show that pleasant scents increase purchase likelihood. The soft lighting and fragrance is like the store's first date with your wallet, and sparks are flying. Hard. Scarcity illusions. Phrases like limited edition or only 3 left create a false sense of scarcity, pressuring us to buy before it's too late because God knows you can't miss trying Flaming Hot Cheetos cologne this season. Flash sales and pop-up deals? Retailers have perfected the art of making you feel like you're about to miss out on the deal of the century. These temporary price cuts and exclusive pop-up sales are designed to bypass your logical decision-making and push you straight into purchasing items you didn't know existed 10 minutes ago but can no longer live without, like stumbling onto my podcast, right? So why does any of this matter? Well, impulse purchasing might seem harmless, but it's a key driver of consumer debt and waste. The average credit card balance in the US is over $5,000, and for many of us, a significant chunk of that is likely due to items we didn't plan to buy in the first place. Moreover, all those impulse buys contribute to environmental waste. Fast fashion, for example, is a major culprit. That $5 shirt you grabbed on a whim might end up being in a landfill within a year, contributing to the 92 million tons of textile waste generated annually. But it doesn't stop at fashion. Electronic waste is another growing concern. That flashy gadget you bought because of a limited time offer might break or become obsolete within months, contributing to the 50 million tons of e-waste produced globally every year. The environmental impact of these decisions ripples far beyond the store's checkout line. Let's talk about the psychological toll. Impulse buying often leads to guilt and regret, which can exacerbate stress and even lead to compulsive shopping behaviors. According to a 2022 survey by Credit Karma, 55% of impulse buyers feel regret immediately after making an unplanned purchase. The other 45% surely have mastered the art of existential numbness that I am desperately working to achieve. But I guess it's back to putting out cigarettes on my tongue until I can reach that beautiful nirvana of nihilistic bliss. Then there's the social toll. While I'm here panic buying my 10th Shein hoodie because it's got a slightly different shade of beige than the last, communities in developing nations are drowning in our discarded attempts at retail therapy. According to a 2023 UN report, the average American tosses 81.5 pounds of textile waste annually, which directly correlates to the weight of our denial of mortality, except that baggage isn't poisoning groundwater in Ghana. The Agbogbloshie district in Ghana, once a vibrant wetland, is now the world's largest e-waste dump where children risk their health scavenging through our discarded phones and laptops because we just had to have the latest model with an extra gigapixel of resolution in the camera. My impulse bought gadgets from 2019 are probably sitting in a toxic pile right next to little Kwame's elementary school, making my quote-unquote treat-yourself mentality less about self-care and more about inadvertently participating in environmental racism. But at least I'm still paying off my 60 seconds of dopamine on the backs of the impoverished like a good little capitalist. So how do we resist the siren call of impulse purchasing? Here are a few tips. 1. Make a list and stick to it. Before you shop, write down exactly what you need. If it's not on the list, it doesn't go in the cart. 2. Sleep on it. If you're tempted by an unplanned purchase, give yourself 24 hours to think it over. Chances are the urge will pass. 3. Set a budget. Decide in advance how much you're willing to spend and stick to it. Leave the credit cards at home if necessary. 4. Be aware of gimmicks. Simply recognizing these tactics can make you less susceptible to them. 5. Shop with intention. Ask yourself, do I really need this? Will I use it? Or is it just retail therapy in disguise? 6. Avoid shopping when emotional. Stress, sadness, or even excitement can cloud judgment. Shopping with a clear head leads to better decisions. Use cash instead of cards. Paying with cash makes spending feel more tangible, which can curb impulse purchases. 8. Unsubscribe from retail emails. Retailers love to tempt you with flashy emails about exclusive sales. Removing this temptation can keep your spending in check. 9. Set shopping boundaries. Limit the time you spend in stores or browsing online and turn off notifications for apps that push constant reminders about deals. Finally, 10. Focus on experiences over things. Redirect the money you'd spend on unnecessary purchases towards experiences that bring lasting joy, like travel, hobbies, quality time with loved ones, or in my case, model airplane glue. And that, dear listeners, is your crash course in the psychology of impulse purchasing. Next time you're hovering over that buy now button at 3 a.m., take a moment to step back, breathe, remember your wallet, the planet, and that debt collector who's starting to sound genuinely concerned about your well-being will thank you. Thank you so much for tuning into Deep Dives in the Shallow End. Until next time, take care of yourselves and others, resist the BOGO, dodge the decoy, and remember, just because TikTok made you feel inadequate about your current toaster doesn't mean you need a $500 smart one that plays lo-fi beats while burning your bread. This is your host, signing off to go return those impulse bought healing crystals before Mercury retrograde ends and my return window expires. Hope to see you next time.
Deep dives in the shallow end.